Future trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, and welcome to a long-awaited edition of Grain Gab, a series where we dive into the current grain markets and strategies and principles we should be using as grain producers. I'm Lori Nelson, your host, and with me today is fellow Gabber, Kristin Steen. Welcome, Kristin.
Hey there, Lori. What's happening today?
Well, it's not sunny in 75, but it's rainy and 55 here in Missouri, and I think you've got a different situation you're looking at today.
Better than freezing rain, right? We're hunkering down and filling the generators up just in case we see some lights flickering or really get a power outage going on here. Us Northerners are prepared.
Okay, well, let's see if we can get through this episode and you continue with some lights on. So
perfect. Excited for it.
Good. We finished our winter meeting series and we've come off a heightened sense of just the energy around downside protection management. What are some of the key takeaways that we can just talk about from our winter series, and what should we be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, there's three really big topics, right? One being inflation and interest. That's a big one. Two, world balance sheets now and potential world balance sheets going forward. Number three, which is huge, is geopolitical tensions. That's a big one right now. So these are all things that we are keeping in mind with the commodity markets because it's keeping us on our toes and big things that we want to watch going forward.
So seasonally, we're coming into a time frame where volatility goes up and then we start and get an opportunity price. Why wouldn't we just wait to put our puts on
until the markets go up? Right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't we just wait?
Saying?
Yeah. Why wouldn't we just wait?
That goes back to the truth behind marketing rule number 2, right? Understand and accept that you can't predict the markets, unfortunately. While we typically see that bump in late spring, early summer, it's not a guarantee, right? Think back on early 2020. What happened? Corn fell out of bed and the crop wasn't even planted at that time. So if you only go off seasonals to price, there was a big issue with that year. Not saying this is a 2020. I'm certainly hoping that we don't shut down all over again, but it's just that stark reminder that things don't have to go as normal, and we want to make sure that our risk is protected in case it doesn't.
So we shouldn't follow the seasonals, Kristin?
It's not that we shouldn't, it's that you need to protect in case something different happens so you can be prepared to capitalize on them whenever they do come, right? So bear in mind the past 2 years, the highs hit earlier than normal, which prove that seasonals aren't everything. It's just one of those things that we want to follow the trend of it, but be prepared for different stuff, right? If the markets acted like they did the prior year before, our job would be pretty easy, but that's not the case.
Right. So, the geopolitical issues you brought up, it seems like we could be just one balloon hanging over our heads, and what could pop our balloon? No pun intended.
No pun intended, right? Yeah, I mean, talk about that. Between tensions rising with the U.S. due to balloons and China's support of Russia, as well as their added naval ships around Taiwan, there's a lot going on just with China and us. So what happens if we take the next step and put sanctions over trade? What does that do to our exports? And what will seasonalities matter by then?
What if Brazil does have a big crop, big enough that China could cancel purchases from us?
Yeah. So even if they are good with buying from us, they don't necessarily have to, right? And the world's also more comfortable ending stocks wise than we are domestically. It's not saying we're out of the woods or anything like that, but they're not as in dire need as the U.S. is.
Yet to boot, we've got demand. Inflation is still a hot button. That usually doesn't bode well with terms of agriculture due to rising interest rates and less demand. So what do you have to say about that?
Right. So the market needs to give both buyers and sellers opportunities to stay healthy, especially in an inflationary market, right? So the question lies still around the last 2 years. Have there been big opportunities for buyers? Are they excited about $6 corn, let alone $7 corn?
No, buyers aren't excited. So from the selling side, am I hearing, do we just sell it all? So should we sell it all, Kristin?
Set it and forget it. Is that what we're saying? I mean, if you do, there's a couple things there. You better make sure that looks really good on your operations balance sheet, and that you have good protection in case that market does start going up, right? We're not out of the woods either. So while it's a great new crop price, we do need to proceed with caution. I mean, we've got light balance sheets ourselves. We haven't planted it. We're not even sure as that the acres quite yet as to what that'll look like going forward, let alone what the weather will look like, right? We still have a large area that's under a drought in the US. So there's still volatility yet to be had. So whether it is selling it and buying a call, or not selling it, waiting for those seasonalities to sell, you better be protecting either way. Protect, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key there, is we want to be able to protect so that we capitalize on whatever opportunities are given us either way.
You know, for example, a new crop 580 corn put short dated July is costing 20 cents.
Yeah, beautiful, right? Gives you to the end of June for protection, which is through a couple of key markers. One, it's planted. Two, we're really kind of getting close to pollination period, if not beyond pollination period, right? To where we feel a lot more comfortable as to what our corn crop is going to look like. So you can always find ways to cheapen it up, like selling a put underneath. And if that's something that you want to kind of walk through, we'd be happy to do that to individually assess where that risk tolerance is for you.
What would you do with beans, Kristin?
Same theory, different month, right? A new crop 1360 soybean put that's short dated to August, so it gives you to the end of July, is running at about 41 cents. That covers downside risks and leaves you wide open to the upside.
So do I look at this as, I mean, as a farmer, I want to make money on that. Do I want to make money on those?
Money on your puts? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I really don't want to make money on my puts, but I just want to make money.
You want to make money, which is exactly where our focus is, right? Determine what that cost of production is, manage that risk, and set in some safeguards, aka insurance, to help protect against the market falling out of bed, right? Think of it back like that homeowner's insurance. For example, we're going to use 2020 as a solid experience because it gave us a lot of life lessons, we'll call them. For us, for the Steen household, right at the beginning of the year, we were sitting in this time frame where we were writing the homeowner's insurance check going, gosh, this is expensive. Is it really worth paying this much? Should we look at something different? Obviously we need to have some sort of insurance, but should we change our strategy here? Thankfully we didn't, because then we had the derecho hit in August and our house got put under attack essentially, right? We had a storm that hit, it ruined our garage, and we were darn happy that we had insurance. But we weren't happy that we made money on our insurance, because that involved the derecho that we're still cleaning up from, right? So it's one of those things that you are buying a policy that you want to have because you know that there's a lot of risk on the table if you don't. But at the same time, you don't want your house to burn down. You don't want a storm to hit your house. You don't want the price of corn to fall out of bed, but you're sure as heck happy if you do have that protection on should that storm come.
So I'm protecting an asset. And so walk me through the mechanics of protecting that asset in case something bad were to happen.
Bingo. So a put is the right, but not the obligation to sell futures at a certain level. Okay. So that's the technical description of it. So basically you're using that put to protect the asset of your unpriced corn. Okay. So if you buy a 580 put and the market goes to $4, Are you going to exercise the right to sell 580 corn in a $4 market?
Yes, I am.
Heck yeah, you are. Absolutely.
Yes, I am.
So what that looks like is you'll sell your physical corn at $4 and your put will be worth $1.80 to help bring you back up to that 580 corn.
Oh, that just brings me comfort. Brings me great
about
peace
right?
in a put. Yes.
Peace
What
in
if
a
the
put.
market
That's
goes,
how you remember
yeah,
it.
peace in a put. What if the market goes higher?
Yeah. So let's say the market's at $7 by the time that expires. Would you exercise the right to sell corn at 580 in a $7 market?
No.
Heck no. Right?
No.
You'll just sell the $7 corn and say, adios, put. Good knowing you.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I mean, it's simple, but that's the basics of how that put on your unsold grain works for you as a grain producer.
Okay, so if we wrap this up, if you're largely unsold, uncovered, consider getting this in the case something bad happens.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, at the end of the day, the whole goal is if something bad happens, if there's a storm outside, if it's freezing cold outside, we don't want to be caught with our pants down, right? We don't want to be that guy. And that's all we're trying to do here is protect that so we have the ability to stay patient for those rising markets going forward, should they actually come our way.
Well, I guess at this point, we probably need to call it good, folks. And we hope this message finds you well and continue to make good plans for the upcoming growing season. If you have any questions or want to dive into further discussions, our contact information is listed below. Thank you to Paige and the EverAg Insights team for making us look good. And thank you for joining us. Until we get to meet next time. Kristin, charge.
Charge!